Hey guys, Ninja here, and welcome back to some more Enigmatica 8. In this episode, we take a quick tour to see what we've been working on in between episodes. You'll notice we've added a couple more floors here where this was all open. We lay the groundwork for our advanced applied Energistics Autocrafting capability. Dive really deep into some mekanism ultimate factory automation, and cap the episode by testing everything out. Before we get started in today's episode, let's take a quick tour around and see what we've been working on in between episodes. I've primarily been working on laying out the interior floor plan for our mega base. You'll notice we've added a couple more floors here where this was all open. We've also extended the ceiling, splitting the base into two separate areas. This area over here probably has the most detail of what we've added, primarily because this is what we are going to be using for the majority of today's episode. This is where we're going to be setting up some additional machines. And as we're adding additional machines and other various elements to our base, we will be, changing things and modifying it as we go. This is kind of just a core layout. Kind of give you an idea of how the base is going to look. Over here, we've added another floor. And there is one more floor above this ceiling here for this smaller tower. This tower over here is not used at all. I am not sure what we're going to do here. We might turn this into farms or something else. We have a lot of platform space outside as well for additional farms. So we'll just have to see as the base develops and we need areas to set things up. Here's our causeway looking out over our beautiful terrain. It's connected to this little viewing area, deck, whatever you want to call it, so we can see our applied Energistics terrain or look out over the terrain or the large area of our base right here. As we start moving things in and setting stuff up, we may open up the ceiling here and take it all the way up. I'm not sure yet. We'll just have to see. And the general layout of the floor is going to be one block thick with this smooth stone surrounded in polished black stone. We've got some columns here that look pretty nice, and the nice thing about this modern Modpack, and it has these vertical slabs, we could split the slabs across two blocks, so it creates a nice little effect that you wouldn't normally have in Minecraft. This floor is 7 blocks tall. It's a little taller. I almost added a ceiling like this over here, but instead I left it high in case we need to add some multi-blocks or other structures that are on the taller side. There is a beam running across here to kind of level it out and look like all this is getting supported. It also stairs up right here because I want all the floors going up from here to be level with our glass that we built on the back side of our building. So they're 5 blocks, which is the height of the floors. On the back side, you'll see our stairs. And this, we're going to run stairs all the way up the building. This is going to be the natural way that you would navigate the building if you didn't have a jetpack like I do. And since the bottom floor here is 7 blocks tall, the stairs come out into this empty room here that we're not using yet. Still don't have plans for this room, but I'm sure we'll think of something. The rest of the floor should be able to line up like this. So you'll go up here and you'll come out on the next floor above. And we can continue this up. This is the last stairwell that we have. So a couple of the floors will be like this because there's a little bit of an extra block there. There's one there as well. And that's just what happens when you build an exterior shell and don't put enough effort into laying out the interior, which is what we're trying to figure out now. Here's our little hallway that we put on the back side of our building that runs down the full length with glass the whole way. And once we start moving up from here, you'll notice that there's a lot less finished out and a lot more work needs to be done. But we at least got a generic layout of all the floors going all the way up. And this will be our primary workshop floor here, and our living quarters, and whatever we decide to do up here. Nature area, a little mini airstrip into a hangar. There's plenty of area for all of that. I still haven't decided, so if you guys have any additional ideas, you can let me know in the comments and we'll take those into consideration. But once you start actually laying these floors out, you realize how massive this building actually is. It is huge. We have so much space. We got a lot more space on our platform, and to go below the platform once we start working on that, I mean, we may not use all this space. We may have to build some empty buildings just to bring all the base together, because just this one building alone is quite large, and we put several thousand blocks into what we've done here. So definitely excited to see what you guys think, but I think we're going to head over to our starter base and start getting ready to lay out our AE2 network. Now that we're back over at our starter base, we're going to work on getting a bunch of dense cable from Applied Energistics crafted. And we're going to need that for creating our main chunk lines to send Applied Energistics channels all over our base so we can use them for auto-crafting and interfacing with various machines. And I've been working on crafting up a whole bunch of items we'll need. I've crafted a whole bunch of fluids crystals. I had to go out and gather a whole bunch of glowstone because we didn't have enough. We are going to attempt to craft 512, and this won't even be enough, and it doesn't sound like it's a lot, but these require so many resources, and this is probably going to take a while to craft as well. Nearly 25,000 hemp fiber, close to 1,500 redstone, and over 2,000 glowstone, 1,000 fluids crystals, so that's going to use up the majority of our fluids crystals, half of our glowstone supply. As you can see, it uses a lot of resources. So we're going to go ahead and start this craft. And you'll start seeing that number go up. And we can go look at our crafting monitor so you can see that at work. Yeah, it's creating the silicone. I guess it needs silicone for something. But this is going to take a while to craft. While we wait on this, we're going to start looking at setting up some additional patterns for our AE2 system. The first thing that we're going to craft is the 64K crafting storage unit, which is made from one of our 64K storage components and a crafting unit. So we're going to go ahead and set that pattern up. We're going to take a look at this crafting unit. And hold on a minute. I'm going to have to deal with this guy. He is annoying, pushing me out of the way. I know this isn't the nicest way to deal with these guys, but they're kind of annoying. Half the time I don't even check to see what they have. I probably should do that. All right, so where were we? Crafting unit, which is processors, iron, and some fluids cables. So all of that's auto-crafted except for the processors. And then we'll also need some co-processors. So that's a crafting unit and an engineering processor. What else will we need? I think that's all we'll need for... Oh, let's do a crafting monitor, which is a crafting unit and a storage monitor. And the storage monitor, we'll need to do that as well. A level emitter and an illuminated panel. Let's try to grab the illuminated one. So it did the illuminated. Now we need to do that level emitter. We're not actually auto-crafting those torches, so we'll just go ahead and do that just so they're set up as a pattern. So we already have 7 patterns. The other thing that we want to check to see if we have auto-crafted is, let's look at Applied Energistics as a whole mod. These molecular assemblers. So we're already auto-crafting all of that stuff, so that's good. And there is a new block that they've added. I think it's this pattern provider that goes with the molecular assemblers. You used to use an interface with them, but now they've added a dedicated block for that. And that's all stuff that we have. So we will go ahead and craft that up. And I think that's all we'll need for now. We can add more if we need them, but I think that's all we're going to need. And this is probably still running. Oh yeah, it's still got... This is going to take a while. So I'm going to go set up these patterns And then we're going to wait on those cables to get done, and then we're going to head back over to the base and start laying out our chunk lines. I don't even know where to begin. We've been so busy setting this up. Man, this has been a blast. I hope you guys have enjoyed the footage of me setting this up as much as I have enjoyed putting it together. We're going to try to break this down as quickly as we can without going into too much detail. But these are our main feeder lines coming out of our cube. So we have half of our available channels at our disposal with these 4 main lines. So we can pull out another 4 at any various points on this inner cube if we need them down the road. We're going to leave this line and crafting terminal set up temporarily just so we have a way to access the system till we get our main workshop set up, and then we'll move all that into the workshop. Over here we've started setting up 3 floors of different items that we're going to need in large quantities for Applied Energistics. So we'll start on the middle floor, and these is where we're going to set up our drive bays, and we're going to have 6 sections of 32 drive bays. So significantly more storage capabilities than what we have now. We're also only going to use 64K drives. And before we can start moving anything over from our starter base, we're going to need to populate at least 3 of these drive bays. And that would give us equivalent storage to what we have now. The only problem is, just to make 6 of these, I've used over 100 logic processors and around 50 to 100 calculation processors. It's an insane amount of resources that go into making these. Really, all this stuff, as you saw with the dense smart cable, it's just so many resources when you start building on this scale. And we're going to have 6 sections of 32 drive bays, so a whole lot of storage capabilities. Plus, we're going to add in some of the black hole units for some bulk storage as well. On the bottom floor is where we have what AE2 calls pattern providers and molecular assemblers. So with refined storage, this is one of a couple big differences. With refined storage, you have those crafter blocks, and those you just set a pattern in it and it can craft that item. With AE2, it's a little bit more complex. You have to have a pattern provider, which is where you put the patterns, and then it uses these molecular assemblers to actually craft them. So you need at least 1 molecular assembler, and each one of our patterns is touching at least 4 molecular assemblers, so it can craft 4 of whatever item you're requesting at a time. And you can expand this out a little bit. We might do a little more with this, but I'm pretty happy with just 4. You can do quite a bit with that. And once again, we're going to have 6 sections, so we're going to have tons of crafting capabilities. We'll obviously have to expand this section more so than the other 2 areas that we're about to go explore. Well, we've already went over the drive bays, and then we're about to go over the last section. Because as you can see, each one of these pattern providers only can hold 9 recipes, so you have to expand this quite a bit. But each one of these towers has 8 pattern providers, so we have 16 currently, which is probably close to the amount that we have right now with our refined storage system. And then on the very top floor is where we're added a block that isn't even in refined storage at all. So once again, increasing the complexity, and we will be able to set up a few more than 6 up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we got quite a bit more. So we got 12 sections up here, but we won't ever probably need more than what we're setting up here. But the way we have these 2 set up is we have 2 64K crafting storage, 9 co-processing units, and 1 crafting monitor. So with refined storage, when you request to craft something, it just crafts it. With AE2, you have to have a block to craft that. And I think a minimum you have to have a storage and maybe a co-processing, or it might default be able to do it with just 1. I'm not sure. We could probably test that later just to play with it. But typically I go with a setup like this. So when you craft something, it sends all those items to be crafted. So if you start crafting large quantities of something or a very large multitask driven process, it can take up a lot of storage for that craft. So every item I think takes up 1 byte, I think is how it works. Once again, this is not a tutorial. I don't know all the ins and outs, and I haven't done the research to give you all the specific numbers. I'm just trying to break down and explain how I use these. So each one of my setups will have 128,000 crafting storage for each individual unit, 1 crafting monitor, and 9 co-processing units. So I think that operates like having 10 threads, because you already have one by having the crafting storage unit. So we'll have 10, we'll be able to process 10 items at a time with this block setup, and we can monitor it with this crafting monitor. And we have 2 set up at the moment. So that was quite a bit of resources just to craft these. And we'll probably set up some more down through here as we go, just like the other things. We also may build a couple special ones that have more crafting storage, because there's a few big, large crafts that may require even more storage than 128,000 can provide. We'll just have to see. We may build that over there. I don't really have a idea for that platform over there, so we could build one big auto crafter that has tons of crafting storage for really large crafts. What we're going to do now is we're going to head back to the starter base, because I need to work on crafting some more drives, and we're also going to work on crafting some machines to bring over here so we can start setting up some basic processing that we need. And then hopefully by the end of the episode, I would love to be able to start draining our inventory over into our mega base. We'll just have to see how far we get. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So now that we're back over at our starter base, we're going to work on getting some machines together to set up in our mega base. I've already built at least one of every factory top from Mekanism. A couple of these we may not use right away, but I wanted to go ahead and set them up. I did build 3 of the enriching factories and 3 of the smelting factories, because those are the ones we use the most. Plus our 6 infusing factory setup that we're going to replicate from our starter base into our mega base. But I want to upgrade these to the ultimate versions, and I'm hoping we can just craft these, and I'm not sure exactly how many we have. I think we have 17 machines. I'm hoping we can just craft these and then just upgrade all the way to that final tier, but we may have to do them one at a time. But we'll find out shortly. All right, so there's 7 of them, and we'll just place one of these on the ground to test. So it looks like we're gonna have to create all of those tiers, and I don't have those set as an autocraft, so let's do that really quickly, and this should work. We'll shift the advanced, shift the elite, and we did not finish yet. Well, we can go ahead and test it, and I'll get those others later. So shift click. So now we have ultimate, all the way to ultimate. We're going to pick that infusing machine up. We're going to put those to the side. We're also going to need some of the cabling. I'm going to try to minimize how much cable we use, but we're going to go ahead and craft us some advanced cable. We might need some mechanical pipes, so we'll build some. And we might need some logistical transport. So we'll go ahead and craft all that up. And we're getting ready to head over to our mega base to set all these machines up. And we're probably also going to shift all of this over and integrate it into our applied Energistics system. And possibly... Actually, I think that's probably it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to finish getting everything together, and we're going to get all this set up. So there is a lot going on this wall. Well, what is left of the wall? It's mostly machines and cabling. So we'll go over this really quickly at a high level, but I'll try to include as much detail as I can. So each one of the factories to the right here have 3 pattern providers and 1 import bus. And our 6 infusing factories have 1 pattern provider, 1 export bus, and 1 import bus. And these will be set up just like our factories at our starter base, so I won't go over that anymore. The factories down here will be able to accept a pattern in each one of these slots for all 3 pattern providers, so that is quite nice. And we have 3 of the smelting factories and 3 of the enriching, because we use these quite a bit. And if we need more, we obviously have plenty of room in the space to add more. And here's where we'll be able to access the backside once we're all done and do any maintenance or add additional patterns as we continue to work on this. We're feeding the machine's power with the ultimate universal cable using one of our flux points. We do have one of our trunk lines running across the top here, and you do have to remember, for every line in one of these feeder lines, or I should say channel, each one of the channels in our feeder lines is actually 32 compressed into a single channel, like we talked about in the previous episode. And I'll always use white and blue for our network / trunk / feeder lines. You'll see me use a combination of those words. And I don't use blue and white anywhere else in my base. That way, when I see blue or I see white, I know not to connect anything directly to these, because it'll break our entire system. And what we have here on our feeder lines is a P2P tunnel. We have 2 of them. This one's fully maxed out, so we're bringing 1 channel down here and opening that up into 32. And we're using a dense smart cable that isn't colored, so we can connect 4 of the smaller 8 channel capacity lines to it. And we're color coding those so they don't touch, and we're maximizing all 32 channels. And we're going to do that as well here. I don't like to waste anything, so even though we got way more channels than we'll ever use, I don't want to waste any. And that pretty much breaks down how all this is working at a very high level. If you have any questions about anything we've done today, drop me a comment and I will jump in there and respond as quickly as I can. To demonstrate this setup, we are going to use one of our smelting factories and one of our enriching factories. And I believe, yeah, it's these 2. These are already set up to input and provide energy, and the output is set up correctly. Man, what is going on out there? One of those things must have spawned in our wall. It sounds like it's already dead, or it's over there somewhere. We'll just ignore that for now. Hopefully it's not too loud. And this machine is set up the exact same way. So on this pattern provider, we're going to provide an iron ingot to the smelting factory. And for the enriching factory, we're going to provide an iron dust pattern. And these are created the same way as refined storage. And a lot of things is similar with refined storage. But applied energistics can be significantly more complex, and you can compact it a lot more. So where with refined storage, I would only be able to put one block here, so either an interface, an import, or a cable. With applied energistics, I have these small blocks, and I can actually put up to 5 and a cable in a single block. So it creates a much more compact system. But we're going to head down to the bottom where we can continue our testing. Now we're down where our brain is at, and we should be able to take a peek in here and see those 2 craftable items. And I did bring some iron ore with me, so we're going to put that into our storage system. So test 1 is a success. We could successfully put an item into our storage system. Now we are going to try to craft 2 stacks of iron ingots. And we're going to hit next, and you can see that it's going to craft 128 iron ingots from 128 iron dust from 64 deep slate iron ore. And we're going to hit start on that. Go to the crafting status, and you can see that it is crafting that. It is scheduled. And we should be able to fly up here to our CPU. So this is the biggest, one of, not the, but one of the biggest differences between refined storage and applied energistics. It has CPUs that control the crafts, which actually, in my opinion, is better, because with refined storage, you'll get overlap and it'll try to use the same items and then it'll break crafts. That will not happen here. That's what this craft and storage is for. It'll actually send everything that it needs or is going to use and puts it into storage, like memory, like a computer, and it crafts it all and then sends it back to the storage. So we should be able to see stuff coming in now. Yes. And we can head back up top and you can see the machines at work. Ooh, that was a smooth transition up, wasn't it? So yes, you can see where it is turning the iron ore very slowly into dust, and then the dust into ingots. Now, we will obviously create a bunch of upgrades for these machines. Right now, we don't. We're running out of time for today's episode, and I just noticed we missed an export bus. I'm gonna have to rewire this just for one item. Actually, no, it's 7 channels. I don't have any cable on me, but I'll fix that later. And just to show you, we can actually hide these cables by using these facades. And you can make these out of any block in the game. They're really nice. And then you can wrench them off. And that one went back behind there. Oh, and then you can work on it so you don't have to break everything. It's really nice. And we'll hide all this in between episodes. We're also going to use these frame doors with these framed pressure plates, and then we can attach the same block to those. And we have a nice little way to access that, and it's not too obvious that it's there. And if we fly back down, oh, I missed it that time. You can see where we're starting to use our storage. And I did notice earlier that these actually hold 10 disk drives versus refined storage's 8. And you can see where, oh, and this one actually shows what items are on the disk. That would get quite large at 63 top. Which is another difference between refined storage and applied energistics, is you can, the amount of items or types is limited to 63 per drive, which helps spread things out and can help with lag a little bit. But I think for today, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I really wanted to get to the point where we could transition our inventory over, but we're just not quite there. But we'll definitely do that in the next one. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I know we got a lot accomplished today, and we are so close to moving into our mega base. By the next episode, we will have everything moved over and some additional machines set up. If you did enjoy the episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions or feedback, please leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. This is Agro Ninja, and that's a wrap.